Okay, so yesterday we talked about the area of an acute triangle, and we took our acute triangle and we drew a perpendicular line from the vertex to the base, and we identified two right triangles within that acute triangle. Then what we did was we found the area of the one right triangle, the area of the other right triangle, added them together to find the area of the whole thing. So today we're going to determine, is that the best way to find the area of the whole thing, or can we do it in multiple ways? So I need you to have your classwork exercise for lesson 3 out, and my triangles are going to look really small for you, but you should have this paper in front of you. And so I wrote bigger over here so that I can actually show you or work out the problem for each one. Now you're going to put what we worked out there in the boxes on the other side of the paper, okay? So it's just going to be easier because if I write it on this paper, it's just really small and you won't be able to see it very well. So we're going to have to remember half base times height gives us the area of a triangle. So when I look at the two right triangles and I remember that area equals half base times height, then I need to find the base of each one of the individual triangles. So with the first one here, it's going to be half 9, it's 9 centimeters, times 12. And I know that 9 times 12 is 108. And so then I can figure half of that equals 54, and I have to have my measurement centimeters, and I know that area is squared. All right, so I found the area of this right triangle. Now I have to find the area of the other right triangle. So I've got half base, which is 12.6, times 12. Sorry. Times 12. All right, so then I've got the area is half of 151.2, and so the area is going to equal 75.6 centimeters squared. So hopefully so far you're staying with me. And let me move this down so you can see. And I'm going to have to figure this down here. So I'm going to keep moving my camera so that you're able to see what I'm figuring. All right, so I've got to take the two areas and add them together to find the area of the whole thing. So I've got 54 centimeters squared plus 75.6 centimeters squared, which gives me a total of 129.6 centimeters squared. So that is the total area of the whole triangle. All right, so I'll give you a second to write that down. So what we did was we found the area of both right triangles in order to calculate the area of the whole triangle. All right, so now let's see what we get if we just use the area or the base of the whole thing, and let's see if we get the same result. So in order to find the base of the whole triangle, we have to add 9 centimeters plus 12.6 centimeters, and that gives us the base then would be 21.6 centimeters. So we can use that to do the area is the base, half of the base, times the height, which we know is 12. All right, so the area then would be half 259.2 And half of 259.2 would be 129.6 centimeters squared, which you'll notice that that total area is the same as the total area we got when we did the two triangles. Maybe there's more than one way to figure this after all. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and erase number 1. I'm going to go on to number 2. So hopefully this is making sense to you. So we've now figured out that there might be, now remember, we always have to try more than once to make sure that it works more than one time before we can say for sure, yep, we can use this other method. All right, so now we have a triangle. We've got the area equals half base, which the base, we're going to start with this portion. The base is 8, and 5.2 is the height. So we've got okay, so we've got 8 times 5.2, which would give us area would be half, 41.6, and that would give us the area would be 10. Oh no, that area would be 20.8, and that would be feet squared. And then the next one, we would have area equals half base, which would be 3.9, times height, which is 5.2. It's the same as the height for the other one. The height is the same. You notice we're using the same height. So we've got 3.9 times 5.2, which would give us 20.28, and we need half of that to get the area. So the area would equal 10.14 feet squared. All right, so that gives us the area of both of the smaller rectangles, but now we have to put that together to get the area of the whole thing. So area would be, for the whole thing, 20.8 plus 10.14, and that would give us a grand total of 30.94 feet squared. So this would be the grand total. Now, let's take a look at doing the entire thing. So we have to figure the base first. So the base here would be 8 plus 3.9, which would give us a base of 11.9. And then we have to do half of the base times the height, which would be 5.2. So 11.9 times 5.2 would give us 61.88, and we need half of that. So half of that, which would give us the area, would be 30.94 feet squared. Look at that. They're the same. So I think we're onto something. I think we can do just the area of the entire triangle instead of finding the area of the two separate triangles. All right. I'm hoping you're getting this down. If not, you can always rewind or you can pause. All right, so let's try number 3. Now number 3 is kind of tricky because they have one spot there that's really, really, really small. And so it's a little trickier than the others. All right, so we're going to have to be really careful when we're figuring this one. And it's also using fractions. So we're going to have a different twist to this because before we've just been using, decimals. All right, so we've got the area equals half base, and we're looking at the base here. So the first base we have is 2 inches, and then the height is 2 5/6 inches. So what we need to do is we need to take this and we need to put it into an improper fraction. So we've got half times 2, so that's 12, that's 17/6. All right, so we've got 2, so we can actually erase this 2 and put it in an improper fraction as well. So we know that anything over 1 is that number because when we do, remember this is dividing. 2 divided by 1 is 2. So that's what they're showing you with this fraction. So when we multiply this, then the area would be, we would go ahead and multiply this as 34/6, and we need half of that, and so that would be a grand total of 34/12 because we multiply 1 times 34 and that's 34, 2 times 6 is 12. So that would give us a total of 2 5/6 when it's reduced. All right, so let's go on with this next one. Now look how dinky that is. That's really hard to see. So half base, which is 5/6, times height, which is 2 5/6. And we already converted this once. So that would be 5/6 and 17/6. So when we multiply that out, we've got 17 times 5. That would be 85 over 36. So that would be area equals half 85/36. And then when we multiply this out again, that would be, whoops, I already got the half. That would be 85/72. And that would be 1 13/72 inches squared. So when we add that up, when we add those two areas up, we have 2 5/6 plus 1 13/72, which would be give us a total of, I'm going to need to change this to 70 seconds. So that's going to be, when I change 5/6 to 70 seconds, that's going to be 60 70-seconds. So that would be 3 73 70 seconds, which would Since there's a hole here, we have to plug that into the 3. So that would be 4 and 1/72 inches squared. Let me move this down so you can see what I did. So what I had to do is I had to change the 5/6 to 70 before I could do my adding. So then I added these, and then I noticed here there was an improper fraction, and so I had to take one whole out and give that to the whole number, and then there was 1/72 left. Okay, that seems like a whole lot of work. Let's see if it's a lot less work with doing the entire triangle. So if we did the entire base, which would be easy to add the 2 plus the 5/6 together. So that's going to give me 2 and 5/6 for the base. So for the area here, we need half of the base, which is 2 and 5/6, times the height, which is 2 and 5/6. So when we multiply this, before we multiply, we need to transfer this into the improper fraction, and we've already done that over here. So now we've got half of 17/6 times 17/6. So when we multiply this, we've got 289. We've got 289 because we've got 1 times 17 times 17. So that gives us 289. You can check that on your calculator. 2 times 6 times 6 would give us 72. Check that on your calculator. So we need to change 289/72, and we need to make that a mixed number. So we take 4, we can take 4 out, and we have 1/72 inches squared left. All right, notice they are exactly the same. The area for the entire triangle, the way we figured it, and the area of the 2 other triangles, they are exactly the same. All right, let's try this last one. All right, this last one is pretty cut and dry. We've got just whole numbers. This one was pretty tricky. When we have the whole numbers, it's not so bad. All right, so let's go ahead and erase. And go on with this next one. So we've got the area, if we do the area of the 2 right triangles, we've got area equals half, we need the base. So here the triangle is kind of on its side. So we need to find where the height comes in a perpendicular way to create the right angle. So we've got this vertex, and we go up, and so this right here would be the base because that's where it comes in at a right angle. So I know that 34 meters on the left side is part of the base of the one triangle, and 12 meters on the right side is the part of the base for the other triangle. So I'm going to use that information. So I've got half of the first base, which is 34, times the height, which is 32. Okay, so if I do area equals half, then here I've got 1,088, and half of 1,088 would give me the area, which is 544 meters squared. So now I need to find the area of the other triangle. So I used the 34 already, so I have to go to the right side, which is 12 meters. And then the height is still the same, it's 32. So now I've got an area of half 384, and half of 384 is 192 meters squared. Now I have to take 544, because these are just the areas of the individual triangles, and add that to 192, and I get a grand total of 736 meters squared. Now let's see, when we do the entire triangle, what we get. Well, we know that we have the base of, and we have to add this up, 34 plus 12. And that gives us a grand total of 46 meters. So now we can use that to find the area. Half base, which we said was 46, times height, which we said was 32. So we've got half of 1,472, and so the area then would be 736 meters squared. All right, so you can choose which way is easiest for you to find the area of the triangles. Either way will get you to the right answer, and we've proven that. So I'm going to want you to try the problem set, problems 1 and 2 on your own, and bring those back. Do not work on 3 and 4. 3 and 4 I want to show you because it's more like a puzzle, and I want to go over that together with you. So just try numbers 1 and 2, and I will see you tomorrow. So keep watching, keep thinking, always stay curious.